Christine Corrado here in the Proactive Investors New York studio. Joining me in the studio today is Kenneth Londoner from BioSig Technologies. Kenneth, great to have you in today.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
So the company is a medical device company focused on the electrophysiology marketplace. What does that mean? Tell me about the company.
Well, we were founded in 2009 with the desire to bring technology into the medical market to help electrophysiologists, which are doctors that help treat irregular heartbeats caused by electrical problems of the heart. And so there's about 33.5 million people around the world that have irregular heartbeats. To keep it simple, when we age, the electrical function of our heart starts to break down. Some people have it quite severely. It's either caused by genetics or lifestyle or some other things that they don't really understand. And what the electrophysiologist does is they'll go into the heart with tools and try to remodel and get the electricity of the heart working normally again.
Okay. And the company's developing a platform called the Pure EP system. What does that do?
So the Pure EP system is a homegrown technology we built in California. It's essentially a computer system that helps the doctors have better information to make their surgical decisions. It's essentially a computer system that takes the heart signals that come from inside the heart, and we process that information and give better GPS coordinates essentially for the heart surgeon to make a better surgical procedure.
And what's the current standard right now for diagnosing that?
Well, they diagnose it through a number of basic tests, the EKG. Sometimes they'll go inside the heart and look at the heart readings. If they determine they want to do a minimally invasive surgical procedure called ablation, you'll go into an operating room in the hospital. There's a lot of medical equipment in that operating room that works in concert with our system that helps them understand how to go into the heart with catheters, they're wires, and they deliver electrical impulses inside the heart to get your heart to go back to a normal rhythm, to a normal heartbeat. Every time our heart beats, essentially we have electricity that causes the chambers of the heart to contract and pump blood. It's when that electrical impulse starts to malfunction that the heart starts to shake and beats over 200 times per minute.
Wow.
And that condition has to be fixed.
And Pure EP was approved by the FDA in August of 2018?
We received FDA clearance. It was 9 years in the making.
Wow.
We were really thrilled to get it because that allows us now to start preparing ourselves to sell the product into the commercial market, first in the US, and then in Europe, and then around the world.
And you've recently signed a deal with Mayo Clinic.
Mayo Clinic has been a partner of ours since 2017. We've had a number of recent announcements with them. We just recently announced last week that we're going to do our first human cases with the Mayo in their Jacksonville hospital. So they'll use our system in human treatment for the first time and observe how our system helps them and make documentation as to the benefits they've received. And then we will go further into the commercial market and launch the product.
So what do you think the timeline for that is?
2019, we'll start approaching the commercial market. We have something that's called a crawl, walk, run strategy. So most successful medical technology companies that are public have followed the same approach where you go to a select number of hospitals with your product. You either install or use the product in their setting, and you have to provide very careful guidance, helping them get trained properly, helping them use it, making sure that they're comfortable with it once they're up and running and they're using it effectively and it's working really well. Then you can move more ambitiously into the market. I think of a comparison to like Tesla in the early days.
Okay.
They wouldn't have put all their cars out into the market before they were ready. I know they've had a few issues, but in heart surgery, you don't want to have any issues. It has to work perfectly. And so we will go into a half dozen plus centers in 2019, make sure it's working perfectly, and then we'll go into more in 2020 and more in 2021. And the company will really be ramping at that point.
Wow. So the company recently uplisted to the Nasdaq. You must be pretty pleased about that.
Yeah, the Nasdaq, it was a goal for us for many years. We wanted to go there when we felt we were ready. So getting FDA approval in August and then listing in September of 2019 we thought was good timing. We actually just rung the opening bell at the Nasdaq in mid-November. We're still a company that's somewhat under the radar screen because we've done a lot of this work ourselves. We've not had a venture capitalist backing us or a private equity firm or a corporation behind us. So this has been sort of a homegrown company, and because of that, there's a whole discovery process that has to take place. And we think as we continue to progress, we think more and more people will find what we're doing is of great value, and we can make a good return for investors.
So a lot of positive news coming out of the company, but we did see a bit of a sharp decline in the stock mid-September. Can you explain to investors about that?
I think there was an anticipation of the stock running up into FDA clearance. The stock peaked, I think, in mid-August upon FDA approval. And then, there was a bit of a profit-taking phenomenon that I think was exacerbated by the recent market declines. And most small companies that don't have sponsorship or recognition, it's easy to see them decline in a down market, which we've had globally in the last few months. But at the same time, the way I look at it is that decline offers people an opportunity to take a fresh look at our company, because there's been no corporate news that would speak of any market decline in our stock. In fact, all our news has been positive. So I think it's a discovery mechanism, and folks who are interested in what we're doing now have an opportunity to get involved at a better price.
So what should investors be expecting from the company in the next few months?
Well, first in man, human data is our next big milestone. So we'll be using the system in 2 leading hospitals in the United States, the Mayo Clinic being one, the Texas Cardiac Arrhythmia Institute being the second. They'll be using the system on patients, and we'll be getting that information and we will be disseminating it in a public fashion probably in the first quarter, early second quarter. Then we will start to look to other centers to take our technology in, utilize it, and get into a commercial mode in the second half of the year.
Well, great to have you in, Kenneth. Thank you so much for telling our investor audience about the BioSig Technologies story.
Thank you so much.